Hi, my name is Isabel Dupreez.
Hannah Layton.
And Magdalene Samita.
And our group is Easy Outdoor Printing.
And as our group name implies,
we did 3D printing.
Our goal for this project is to create a design at least 25% 3D printed with 2 distinct functions that can be used on vacation. Our device is 100% 3D printed other than the fabric piece that's in it. As for what it does, we decided to make a device that not only can be a container to hide your personal items when you're on vacation, but also a cup holder. In addition, the components of our device can be filled with rocks and sand while you're on vacation, or can be weighed down by your personal items that you can either put in it or on the fabric piece.
In terms of our design process, it was relatively straightforward. First of all, we thought about what we would be able to create with the constraints and resources provided to us. To identify a problem for our device to solve, we just went around asking students if they had any particular issues when they were outside on vacation. And interestingly enough, one common problem was just personal items being knocked over onto the ground or getting dirty or being blown away, particularly at the beach. Immediately, we knew that was a plausible problem that we'd be able to solve. Our imagining and planning phases took little to no time at all. This is the main reason why we actually don't have any concept art drawings for our device. We used the actual 3D modeling that we did in late phases as our concept art. Although our team wishes we could give a long-winded backstory as to how we brainstormed our device idea, there's not really much to say. The idea just kind of came to us and we rolled with it. It was the mechanisms behind how we were going to actually make our device modular that we did some brainstorming. For example, how each component of the device was going to fit together. That was probably our greatest design challenge. However, we ultimately decided on simply having the components slide together to keep them in place. Once we nailed down what we wanted to design, we got to constructing our first prototype. We developed a basic design using Autodesk Fusion 360. While the main design stayed consistent throughout the process, we did have to fix some tapering and other small hiccups prior to printing, just to make sure it would print properly. Each component we printed actually came out great, except for one. Thankfully, that was quickly fixed by flipping the bottom of the container in Prusa Slicer just to get it to print without failing. The only drawbacks to this were longer print time and some additional supports that would have to be removed, but from there we began the post-processing stage. This included removing the supports for each print piece, sanding components like the poles, assembly using superglue and Bondo, and painting. Upon the completion of the device, it was time for testing. We filled the prototype with sand from the Berghoff volleyball courts, but we really could have used anything on hand, like gravel, etc. This just ensured that it would be weighed down and made stable with some added weight. Then, we used some rocks and mulch to reaffirm stability. Lastly, we placed some miscellaneous items like snacks, keys, etc. just to ensure they would both fit inside the device and on top of the fabric without breaking off any of the hooks. This test served to see how much weight the fabric could hold before one of the hooks began to break. Thankfully, our prototype actually passed each of these tests successfully, so we didn't feel the need to redesign and/or improve anything yet.
In regards to FEDD, while our device did not win any awards, we had the opportunity to receive feedback from 2 different judges. Both judges seemingly only had positive things to say. Positive comments included compliments about the modality of our device. We were applauded on the high percentage of 3D printed material used in the construction of the device and the organization of our presentation that we provided.
What would we do differently if we had to do this project again? There's really only one thing we would do differently. Throughout the entire duration of this project, we never once reached out to our guru. If we were to do this again, we would definitely reach out to receive a second opinion on design aspects for our device. We also have some important advice for freshmen participating in FEDD. We highly recommend getting in contact with your teammates as soon as possible. You have a lot less time than you think you do for this project, so you all need to work together to get a head start. Use your resources. Our team spent a total of $0 on this project, and it was almost entirely due to using our resources. Not only does the DHL Makerspace have free 3D printing, but they also have a ton of people there to help you with post-processing. Talking to them might prove beneficial. In addition, reaching out to people might provide you with material resources as well. And I got in contact with a friend who donated the fabric for our project with no extra charge. As a result, we didn't have to buy any. Lastly, time commitments. Even with every member doing their part, you are still going to have to dedicate a significant chunk of your time to complete this project. Be prepared to make some sacrifices. You might find yourself waiting outside the makerspace every morning to get a 3D printer, so be prepared.